thanks for joining our ASNOA U University back to school workshop. We thought we would put some actual workshops together for you all to take a deeper dive into particular types of coverages. And we had a lineup in our fall semester. We did one on cyber, which was fantastic. We did one on trucking transportation, on work comp, and we're going to spend today and Thursday on just talking about farm. And Liberty Mutual was kind enough to be with us today. Nationwide is going to be with us on Thursday. We're also going to do one on marketing and one with wealth management in a box. So watch for our fall schedule. You'll be able to see it on our website. I will be recording these. I got my notes taped to my head, so I remember to record these. So yeah, we're really excited to talk about farm on day one. What we wanted to do in this particular, course was, we know there's a lot of opportunity, or agents that might have opportunity that maybe just didn't have the 100% knowledge that they needed to go after optimizing some of those opportunities with selling farm within their agency. So we wanted to make sure we broke down the different types of farm appetites that you can, quote, find an issue, and also utilize some of the resources that are out there and available to you. So for the agents that have been selling farm, I believe we actually have something for you as well, that you'll learn something from each of these workshops as well, and even share some of your experiences with us. So it is all open forum. I don't want you to feel like this is just webinar, everybody go back and check emails. It's open forum. We're really looking forward to having some open dialogue and open conversation with each and every one of you, whether you run into some opportunities and you didn't know how to go ahead and get a game plan put together, or whether you have run into some coverage questions that you might have. So it's just opening up that door within the agency, again, optimizing some of these opportunities that you all have within your agency, and learning as much as you can about farm and what is available to each and every one of you. Or even if you have new hires within your agency, this would be a great workshop for the new hires to jump on as well too. So there's, again, 2 days. Today's day 1 of 2 of the workshop on farm. We're going to be talking with Liberty Mutual about farm packages, tailored insurance coverage options, the different types of farms and to look at in orchards and vineyards and nurseries and things, all these opportunities that you have that maybe we didn't even realize that this is something that was within their wheelhouse. What we'll do is we're scheduled from 10 a.m. to noon, and we'll take a break right on the hour at 11. We'll take about a 10-minute break and go get a cup of coffee, refresh, and then we'll come back and finish up the workshop today with Liberty Mutual, and also open up some questions. So again, it is open forum. You can ask questions throughout. I don't want you to feel shy about that. You can raise your hand. I can unmute your mic. You can chat it in, whatever you'd like to do. So I did mute everybody upon arrival just to keep the noise level down throughout. But again, wanted to make sure you realized it was an open forum. So it's a workshop. So let's work together in the workshop, right? So our presenters today is Danielle Scott with an MBA at CPCU and ARMED, Territory Manager for Liberty Mutual. Hello, Danielle.
Hello.
She's going to pretty much be driving the day. And then Kim Adkins, our Senior Territory Manager at Liberty Mutual. Good morning, Kim.
Good morning, everyone.
And thank you again for joining, ladies. And I'm Kathy Bova, the Vice President of Operations here at ASNOA. I'll be your facilitator too on the back end. And again, if you have any issues or questions or concerns or anything, just chat it in, raise your hand. Let's all, make this a really valuable workshop for you to bring back some knowledge to your particular agency that you can actually implement immediately. All right, Danielle, I'm going to go ahead and let you kick it off.
All right. Bear with me while I
Yeah, I want to thank you both for taking time to put this together for our agents as well. I think we all felt that this was a valuable education piece to bring to the table to the agents. So Danielle and Kim, I want to thank you for, taking time out of your day to help us, spread the word, spread the message, enlighten our agents that have opportunity to self-farm, and again, hopefully walk away with something that they can implement in their agency.
You're welcome. We're both super excited for the opportunity. There's just a ton of potential in this market. I think as over the last year, you hear about more and more people kind of leaving the cities and going out to the country and buying their little chunk of 5 acres and maybe having a cow. And so Danielle's going to go over all the farm parts, and then I've got a couple of parts I'm going to cover as well.
Absolutely. So I will go ahead and kick it off. Ladies, can you just confirm that you can see my screen, the presentation, everything good to go? Great.
Yes, it's perfect. Thank you, Danielle.
Absolutely. So just a couple of housekeeping items here. Some of the information, while we will go over a lot of information that's general in nature, some of it may be proprietary. So just a few housekeeping items here. So I'll just briefly stop on this slide so you can read it. All right. Just to cover the agenda, what we'll get into today, as you mentioned, I'll kick us off with some farm stuff. We'll go over appetite, what the different types of farm classes you may run into look like, and also from a product standpoint, what those coverages, what do you need to know about the type of coverages that your farm clients may need, and those sorts of items. We'll then go into some details about the sales center and instant incentives, and also some Q&A, of course, there. But as Kathy mentioned, this is interactive, so feel free to jump in at any time. We'd love to hear from you and make this a conversation more so. So just to kick it off, in terms of overall farm with Liberty Mutual, well, first, before we get into this, just a few like fun facts I want to share. Farm, if you aren't already in the industry or writing farm as it is, farm is a hugely undertapped market, in my opinion. Statistics say that there's over $4 billion in potential premium in the farm industry countrywide. There's over 2 million farm ranches in the United States, which is a huge opportunity. About 85% of farms have sales less than 500,000. So you're talking, small family farm operations, which comprise of about 90% of farms in the U.S., which are family farm operations. So I say all that to say and throw some of those big numbers at you to say, one, there's a lot of opportunity, and two, these are totally clients that you can target, that you can go after. Those family farm operations, they're not. Most farms are not huge, large agribusiness type farm operations that you may see. Although that we can write those as well, anything from small to large farms, but just some, I guess, a carrot, if you will, about a little bit about the farm industry and all the potential that there is in farm. Also to note there, farm loss ratios, just making it in more cases to get you hooked into the farm space, but the loss ratios on farms tend to outperform other segments in the industry. So if you compare them to commercial classes, or even personal classes, the loss ratios tend to outperform. And also from my experience, I used to be a farm vendor as well. The retention for farm customers continue to outperform other classes as well. So a lot of great cases can be made as to why you should be writing farm if you aren't already. So I encourage you to take lots of notes, ask lots of questions, and hopefully what we share today will get you excited about farm if those numbers haven't already. So just something to note about Liberty Mutual farm product specifically is that we are all online. And so lots of carriers do things a lot of different ways. We used to be on paper applications, but we are all online now, which makes it faster and easier for you to write farm coverage with Liberty Mutual. You can quote all lines in our eCLIQ system. So that means the farm, the auto, the excess, the umbrella, all of that can be quoted in our eCLIQ system, which is pretty impressive and really increases the ease of doing business for you as an agent, as well as for the people in your agencies. We also have some expanded coverages. So we've completely revamped our farm product. I would say we're in about the last year and a half. As we went on to our online quoting system, we went completely to new coverage forms, ISO forms as well, and completely and are constantly enhancing our offerings from a farm standpoint. On the right, you'll see farm products that we offer. As I mentioned, we can write the total package from a farm standpoint, but we also can do monoline. So maybe they don't live there, they just have some property, maybe a barn and some land. That's okay, we can write that. Maybe there's no barn at all, maybe there's just land. Monoline farm liability is something that we can do as well. And you also have the ability to include the farm account indicator to other CL business. So maybe there's a connection there from another commercial lines business that they have with Liberty Mutual. So that is in a option as well. And you'll also see winery endorsements and equipment breakdowns there too. So what's our appetite? So here you'll see some preferred appetites from a farm standpoint with Liberty Mutual, and I would say this probably spreads across countrywide as well in terms of the types of farmers that you'll see in any given state. As well. So a couple I'll call out that are pretty popular: beef and cattle farms, dairy farms are hugely popular. One thing to note about cattle is that sometimes you'll run across farmers that have land and they will have someone else's cattle on there just to graze, things like of that nature. That's also an option as well. Those typically would be classified somewhere maybe in the hobby gentleman farm space. So maybe they don't have bring in a huge amount of income from farming, but they live on 10, 20, maybe 500 acres or so. Anything in between, as I said, we can write the small and the large stuff. That's where you kind of get into your hobby gentleman type farm. Just meaning that this is just a hobby for them, and that is something that they do in excess of having a large amount of farm premium that they bring in, which is completely fine and we're okay with. Corn and soybeans, you'll see a list of crops in the middle section. That's also that we see a lot of cotton. Those comes with a lot of that. You'll see your higher end equipment schedules on the cotton crops and really crops in general. You'll see the higher end equipment schedules, and we'll get into that a little later, but just something to note there that is something that you'll run into from a farm standpoint. When you have these types of farmers with crops, they will have $500,000, and above in some cases of equipment, combines, cotton pickers, things like that that they have, pivots, those types of things. And then on the right, you'll also see nurseries. So anything from vineyards and wineries, which is something that we couldn't do before, nurseries, orchards, Something to note there is that we don't do eCLIQ or no Christmas tree cutting. I know that season is coming. We also just got past pumpkin season, and so we did see some of those as well. But so no eCLIQ, no. We try to limit liability in terms of having a large number of customers come in on any land to pick crops or berries or anything like that. So I will pause there. Any comments or questions about just appetite or anything, classes that you come to see on the screen, anything come as a surprise to you or anything of that nature? And if Kim, if you see anything in the chat, feel free to call it out. I'll rely on
And Danielle, I just asked everybody if you wouldn't mind chatting in what kind of opportunities or what type of opportunities do you feel like you have in your agency that you're seeing or that you come across or that you would like to go after. So if you want to just chat that in, that would be great. What type of farms? What type are you doing? Do you have an opportunity with nurseries, vineyards, crops? What's up? Crops? They do fruits excluding melons. So what's wrong with melons?
And Danielle, we do have a question in the chat pane from Brandon. So he wanted to know, where do you place people who live on a farm that do not farm?
Yeah, absolutely. So they would be in that hobby gentleman farm segment, which is again completely within appetite. It's probably one of our largest classes that we write. So we would consider that a hobby or gentleman farmer. I think they're getting away of the gentleman term, but the hobby farmer is what that includes. And so they may not have any farming income, but they may just live on a large number of acres. And so that is still within appetite. It's important to know that, a lot of times, that can cross the space of should this go on a personal lines policy or farm policy? What's the difference? I will tell you that with a farm policy, they will have more broadened coverages. And so you may run into some personalized carriers, even our partner Safeco, that can write farms in their segment, but you will have more broadened coverages on a true farm policy, especially if they have a large number of acres.
And I did provide Kathy a document that she can share with you guys that kind of shows the difference between what's offered in personal lines with us through our partner Safeco and how that compares to our business lines product. And then it looks like we've got, so Janice.
Sure. I'll be sure to get that out to everybody too, Kim, after today.
Great, thank you, Kathy. Yeah, so Janice says that she does vineyards and ranches and farms. There was someone else that responded. Jesus.
I think Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah. So we just came out with a great vineyard and winery endorsement. I'm in Phoenix, and so I work a lot with the farm team in California, and they write a ton of wineries over there. Not the big ones, but just the smaller, more family-owned and run vineyards and wineries. So I know that our product compares very well.
That's great. Yeah, there's opportunity everywhere. What about beekeepers who sell at farm markets only? That's Steve. Thanks, Steve, for that question. Danielle and Kim?
So I do know that we can beekeeper. I do believe it is an acceptable class. When it comes to bottling products and selling at a farmer's market, I think that's just subject to underwriting review. So I would definitely say if you have that opportunity, go ahead and put it in. Let your underwriter take a look at it. There's so many different circumstances that can make something like that go either way, but I would certainly say I would say consider that and put it in to see if that's something that we can write.
And I think one of the new things with our farm product, Danielle mentioned that we've kind of revamped it over the last 12, 18 months, is we do now have the ability to endorse on the commercial general liability. So if they are manufacturing, um, we're able to endorse that onto our policy as well. We used to have to work with our commercial lines underwriters, and that got kind of clunky sometimes because their knowledge isn't in this industry type. So at Liberty Mutual, we have underwriters that specialize just in farm and ranch coverage. So
That's great.
And I also saw something in the chat about vineyards. So that is something that we can certainly write. And we have some information on vineyards as well. But just a few things there, if that's an opportunity in your area that you currently aren't tapping into. Um, the U.S. has nearly 1 million acres of grape bearing land, and grape production is valued at over 6.5 billion. And grapes are the highest value fruit crop. So a lot of, again, opportunity, a lot of value in that space, and is certainly something that we can write and have the coverage for a fastly growing area, um, from a vineyard standpoint as well. And so some of those risks that we cover, the wine contamination and leakage concerns, chemical drift, that we'll get into as well later on. But if you're familiar, some of these terms may sound familiar, and if not, we'll kind of get into a little bit of coverage descriptions later on as well.
and then Todd
There's another.
asked about, do you cover the actual animals? So I know through our partnership with Ironshore, we do have the ability to refer you over there if you're looking for specific animal mortality coverage. Um, Maybe Danielle knows a little bit more about on the farm perspective of what we can cover.
Yeah, so we do have the animal collision, and I do know that we can schedule livestock up to a certain amount. I don't have the limit right in front of me. I'll try to look for it while we're on the call, but we do we do have coverage based off of certain limitations for sure. All right. So here you'll see on the screen our top farm classes. And so I think this is about 10 or so classes, but you'll see just the incredibly positive hit ratios we have over several farm classes. Again, those crop items, wheat, soybeans, grains, crops, are all over 40%. So we're winning, one in more than one in every three on these from a quoting standpoint. And some of these classes, tree fruit, you'll see we have a 50% hit ratio. Now this is a countrywide capture of classes and a hit ratio, so it's possible in your particular state these hit ratios may look different, but overall you see that we are doing really well in farm. Even in this hobby farm space that you'll see that we, I would say, probably get the most quotes in, we're still winning one in every three on those, from a countrywide standpoint. And so I would just, again, this is definitely, I would say, worth the time and energy to look into, to make sure that you're quoting, and of course, to give Liberty Mutual a shot as well, because we are having success in this space. So another item in regards to farm appetite is just overall controls. And this slide is just about custom farming, which is also a fancy word for harvesting for others. And so a lot of times, farmers, because the equipment is so expensive and they try to, maximize the value that they and the investment that they spend, not only will they farm their own land, but they will farm for others. And so extending liability in those cases is a coverage that farmers will request and will really need. So that is something that we offer. It's acceptable if the insured operates locally, harvests their own crop, and has minimal receipts for harvesting neighbor's crop. So this can't be a full-time job that they do in terms of harvesting for others. It should really be incidental, meaning mainly the equipment that they use and the harvesting that they're doing is for their own land. And every once in a while, they harvest for others. No long distance transporting for harvesting equipment. So, you stay within a close mileage radius as you're using these equipment items. Again, this reduces the liability and the exposure, and no additional premium charge of custom farming is incidental, and receipts are less than 5,000. So again, this is a coverage and a question that may come up with your farmers, and that may come up with your clients who are interested in farming products. And so having this knowledge of what that term means and how to apply it and what the limitations are here are important. Again, getting into continuing on with farm appetite and just proper controls. So horses. So we are able to write horses. A lot of times, your farming clients may have horses that they may use for personal use or farm work. And so our general rule of thumb and preference is that they have no more than 10 horses. And also that they not be using the horses for boarding or breeding, training lessons, rentals, things of that nature, any sort of agritainment where they're allowing people to come over for entertainment from a horse standpoint. So all of these would not be within appetite, but we are able to entertain risk with horses as long as it's less than 10. Incidental horse boarding might be acceptable with proper hold harmless agreements. So I would just encourage you to discuss that with your underwriter. So maybe they have one or two horses that they're boarding for a friend, and they have the hold harmless agreement signed in place. That's fine if they're doing it, broadly, and generating a lot of income with that. Then that may be something that may make it out of appetite from a Liberty Mutual standpoint. But it's important to know that horses could be a part of an exposure for any of your farming clients. Another thing that we see on the rise are barndominiums. And so you'll see this house here that is part house and part barn. And so that is also something that we can write. These are tending to be more and more popular. You may have the barn on the side, or here it is below, but we can write these on a standard farm policy, which is very similar to like an HO3, HO4 on a personalized policy. But this is also something that is absolutely within appetite, and something that you may want to be familiar with just in terms of terminology that your farm clients may be asking you for in terms of coverage.
Never heard
and
that
let me
term
add,
before, so that's
yeah,
something new. I know there is a question that goes back to the harvest for others. For Brandon, he wanted to know, how do you cover those who harvest for others over 15K?
yeah, so that may be outside of the scope of what from a Liberty Mutual standpoint what we're looking to write from an underwriting perspective. And so I would just say have a conversation with your underwriter. It's possible that it may make it ineligible, but you'll just want to discuss the details with your underwriter on that one. But typically 15,000 is the threshold that we try to try for. It's a target. Question.
And then I just wanted to touch base on Liberty Mutual doesn't write the boarding, breeding type stabling horse exposure, but our partner Iron Shore does. And so through your Liberty Mutual appointment, you can get access to that. Of course, we want you to write farm with us and not everything with Iron Shore, but we do have an outlet for that as well.
So we talked a lot about, what are preferred operations. Just a few things to call out about, things that may be undesirable. So a lot of things that come off that stand out to me on this slide are, agritainment. We see that a lot. Hay rides are becoming more popular. People that bring in even class groups for field trips or something of that nature. Those are operations that are undesirable from Liberty Mutual standpoint. And may be more of like a commercial, maybe better suited for a commercial type policy just due to the exposure. We just don't consider these true farming operations when they have that. Hunting clubs are also undesirable. However, we do have some limited capacity for some hunting exposures. It just has to be incidental and friends and family only. And we ask that there be some hold harmless agreements in place. Again, very similar to custom farming, incidental exposures from a hunting standpoint. But we do know that this is comes into play with a lot of our farmers. So that is there as well. We get a lot of hemp and tobacco operations questions as of late. And so that's still not something that we're getting into as of yet. But who knows what the future may hold, but that is an undesirable operation as of now. And I would say just, countrywide, I think they're still looking to see how that product performs in terms of loss ratios. I don't think we have enough information to be able to gauge that yet. And so I think once the industry in general starts to turn some more solid data on that, I think more standard carriers will likely get into that segment. Log homes and cabins, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Those, just the fire hazard on those, a lot of them tend to be older, and just the replacement costs on them, just in terms of loss ratio, they tend to run higher from that standpoint. Same with grain elevator operations. These tend to be susceptible to some pretty extensive fire hazards there as well as equipment dealers. And so a lot of times farmers, or you'll have people that will be dealers for tractors or something of that nature, and they'll have 10, 12 tractors that they're selling, as well as other farm equipment as well on their land. And so that's not something that we're in a market for. Again, that would be more of a commercial type exposure versus a true farming exposure as well. And then I also wanted to call out poultry and as well. So they tend to run in terms of loss ratios on the higher end as well, is particularly with fire hazards and property hazards as well. So that is something that we would consider an undesirable operation, as well as hog confinements too. If you've ever, I toured one not too long ago, and if you've ever seen them, just because of the hay, they're typically enclosed. The fire hazards in those as well tend to be, they tend to be more susceptible to those. And so again, something that you want to be keep in mind too, as well as you come across different types of farming classes and maybe what you want to have a niche in or what have you. But these are some of the exposures and hazards that you may see coming up against some of these types of classes. I will pause again to see if we have any questions.
Doesn't look like there's any questions at this time, but if you do, you know what to do. Chat it in, raise your hand. We'll be happy. If your question is too long, just raise your hand. I'll unmute you. As long as you dialed in using the PIN, it looks like everybody did. We should be good. All right. Thanks, Danielle.
All right. We'll keep going. So that was, so now that we talked a little bit about farm appetite, let's talk about kind of get into some of the nuts and bolts of the product. Our eCLIQ farm product is available in 39 states. You'll see the states that it's not available in here in the next bullet point. But the fact that it is available in most of the country just goes to show you, again, just the opportunity that you have to write not only in your home states, but in your adjacent states as well. And just the opportunity that we have in terms of expanding our coverages and our offerings countrywide. We're on the 26 ISO coverage forms, which I would say is pretty much industry standard, but with obviously some proprietary endorsements that will that enhance our coverage forms to provide your farm clients the best coverage. We have some of those extension endorsements and, again, other rating functionality enhancements that are released monthly. There's a lot of resources that's going on to this, and that's just due to the growing farm opportunity and farm market that's going on in the country right now, which is really exciting. And you also know that we also offer farm auto and farm excess. You can write everything all under with the same underwriter or all with the sales center and with the same policy and all on the same billing cycle. So that's exciting as well. You don't have to, break everything apart or piece everything together. We can write everything one-stop shop from a farm standpoint, which is pretty exciting. And I would say what your clients would prefer. It would certainly increase the ease of doing business with them, that they have everything there together with one policy. So something to note in terms of farm coverages. So single policy property deductible is something that we offer. And what that is, if there was a storm that came and, did damage to the home and three structures on the property, the barn, several barns in the home, there would only be one policy deductible, not ones. And so that's a key coverage that you'll want to be sure that you're offering your farm clients that will help protect them and really offer them better coverage in the event of a loss. So something to keep in mind there. Also chemical drift. So we offer that up to 1 million. So a lot of your farm clients will have to do some level of spraying on their crops. However, there are some instances where they can spray their crops, and what's good for their crops could drift due to wind and go into the next farmer's land and kill their crops, just due to all the different chemicals and things like that that could be involved in any particular solution. And so we offer chemical drift, which protects them of that. So if I spray my land, it drifts into my neighbor's farm and kills their crops, we have a coverage limit for that up to $1 million. That's huge. And again, a coverage that you'll certainly want to offer and be familiar with for your farm customers, your farm clients, and be able to offer and communicate that to them as well. Equipment breakdown, that's pretty self-explanatory there. Commercial general liability, a personal liability option for commercial farming. So again, we offer everything from your small hobby farm, so people that are maybe just be farming for themselves, or maybe just farming to sell at a local market or something of that nature, up into your big agribusiness, multi-million dollar revenue type of farm exposures. And so we offer everything from farm personal liability to commercial farm liability. And so that's something that you'll want to be sure that you're able to offer your farm clients the right coverages based off of the revenue, the receipts, and what their exposures look like as well. Also in the marine for machinery and equipment. So we, again, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of times farm equipment can really get up there in values. Some farm equipment can, easily push into the, several $100,000 mark in terms of equipment. And sometimes, while we don't prefer it, maybe they just need coverage for their equipment and not everything else, because we can offer monoline. But we offer inland marine policies just for machinery and equipment to schedule that separately. And a lot of times, sometimes depending on the state and depending on the policy, it will have to be scheduled separately anyway, just so it can have a special deductible. But we do offer special farm inland marine machinery and equipment policies. And again, this is typically either for your high value farm equipment or for those that don't have a dwelling to package it all into one policy. All right. Now that was a lot of information. I hope you're still with me.
No, that was
So,
great. A lot of great information. And this is what sets you apart, some of these coverages and enhancements and things to think about if you're getting into the industry. I have a question for you, Danielle. Is there a particular form that you have to gather information?
yeah, Kim, I'll push that to you.
Kim has that available.
Yeah, I can shoot that over to you, Kathy.
That would be great to share. So for folks that are just starting out, getting into this industry, looking to go after farms, here's a great form to, that has all these questions to ask up front. That would be great.
Yep, I will shoot it over to you.
So our farm property extension is an endorsement that we're able to put onto all farm policies. And you'll see a few highlights of that here. And I'll call out, and some of these coverages may sound familiar to you. They may be similar to like a homeowner's policy. As you can see, increased special limits under coverage C. So that personal property that you may see a lot of times. Farm owners will schedule things like firearms, things that nature, jewelry, so what have you. And so we do offer increased special limits from that standpoint. Also, extended dwelling replacement costs at 125%. And so a lot of times, because these are special builds that you'll see, I've seen some really nice farms on some good land, and so being able to offer that extended dwelling replacement cost at 125% is a great product offering. You'll also see sump overflow and water backup from sewers and drains. So this is, I would say, a coverage that you'll see a lot as well from that standpoint, and that is coverage for water damage that is caused by backup from sewers or drains, or failure of a pump, a sump pump. And so a limit of $10,000 applies there. And again, because a lot of times these are out in rural areas with the plumbing and things like that, the drainage and sewer being different than you may see in the city, that sump overflow and water backup is, I would say, in the top in terms of coverages that a farmer will ask for or will certainly need. And also, you'll see a limit of $2,000 for refrigerated products, not farm personal property. Also, in that farm property extension, newly purchased machinery. So similar to a lot of times you'll see this for, if you're familiar with writing personal lines policies, if you trade out your car or buy a new car, you kind of have a new window under your insurance policy to where coverage would still extend to that. So the same is kind of the case for machinery. If you buy a new piece of machinery, you have 90 days and a coverage limit up to $250,000. Same for replacement machinery as well. Again, all under this property extension endorsement. Borrowed, rented, or leased equipment. And so you'll see this as well. So something to note here that, typically you can't, we don't prefer to schedule the rented or leased equipment, but we do offer in the property extension endorsement up to 60 days and $100,000. Cab glass breakage is also something that comes into play as well, and so that you'll see that a lot of times in a lot of these farm equipment vehicles. You may run into this where farmers will want to protect that as part of an exposure. And so again, no different relating it back to a personal vehicle, personal policy or something of that nature. We all know, if you're riding down the street or something of that nature, the glass hits your vehicle or something of that nature. The same could happen to farm equipment, and so you'll want to get that fixed in order to efficiently farm your land. And so we do offer that as well. Let's see here. Mobile agriculture equipment lease gap coverage is also available. So something to keep in mind there. So if there's a gap of coverage in terms of an equipment lease, that is something that we offer. And also property in transit. So if you have something that is going from one point to another, there's a $10,000 limit there as well. Any questions?
Everybody's pretty quiet today.
Everybody's pretty quiet.
Anybody have any questions, or have you come upon any of these, concerns, or have you run, the mobile agricultural equipment lease gap? Have you ever run into that where you had a loss and there was a gap coverage? Property in transit, I would think everybody would need. So, No, we're all good. All right. Well, ask away, everybody, if there is. I know there were some questions. Is it too early out here in LA? It's too early out here in LA. Yeah. Hey, Suze, I know it is early. I'm sorry. We are asking, what else did they ask here? There's another question here. Is there any other eligibility in year built of farms? Is there any eligibility in year built of farms? Brandon is asking that question.
Yeah, so I can't remember the exact. I want to say it's anything over 30 years, I believe. They wouldn't put replacement costs on, so they would consider older home dwellings. But I believe anything with a roof over 30 years, they may look to put ACV on as opposed to replacement costs. But we have a pretty broad appetite in terms of farm dwellings and things of that nature. And I'll also note that we can write also high value farm dwellings as well, up to 2 million. And so a lot of times we'll get some pretty high value dwellings from a farm standpoint, especially if it's like a secondary residence, or something of that nature. So that's something that we may see as well.
Great.
cover a home
Thank
built
you.
in. Yeah. Okay.
Will you cover a home built in 1930? Are you doing older homes at all?
I would say that will probably have to be subject to, underwriting review. So, there's a lot of things that can come into play with that. So, um, has it been updated? What year is the electrical? Has the roof been replaced during that time? There's so many things that could make that one go either way. So I would say, have your underwriter take a closer look at that one, or the sales center, and they'll, be able to provide a more accurate, as it stands, 1930 typically wouldn't be desirable, but there are some things that could affect that for you as well. Right.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
Good. So some other things to note about that are included in our farm property extension endorsement. So we have mobile agricultural machinery rental reimbursement. So that's pretty explanatory. Again, if you have to, last minute, rent machinery if yours goes out, similar to like a personal vehicle, then there is some coverage for that, $500 a day for 30 days or up to 10,000 per occurrence. So that's pretty generous limit and extension there. It's something that will be very valuable to your farm clients. Also, office equipment and furnishing. So a lot of times farmers will have offices or something of that nature set up on their property. So we offer some coverage for that, as well as their computer equipment. Also, outdoor signs and entrance gates. Guys, I have seen some really fancy pictures and photos of farm entrance gates and signs. And so I love that we offer a coverage specifically for our farm clients to cover this in the event of some sort of loss or storm or something of that nature, or accident. There's $2,500 limit up to that as well for that. Livestock collision, we offer that for a limit up to $2,000. So say a cow gets out and causes, an accident or something of that nature, we'll pay up to $2,000 for the animal itself. That's already included in the property extension endorsement. Right.
Yeah, and Danielle was talking about the fancy gates and signs. We can cover higher limits for that, but those were the limits that were just included in our enhancement form. So just about everything on that enhancement form you can increase the limit on.
Thanks. So here are a few items from our farm liability coverage extension. And so we did, broaden our definition of farming and insert location to provide more coverage for our farm clients. Also important to note that custom farming receipts increased to 25,000. And so I think that, okay, so that answers Brendan's question earlier. Sorry about that. Well, I'm glad we kind of saved a little carrot for later on in the presentation, but as we mentioned when it was first released, that limit was 15,000, and as of recently has been increased to 25,000. So it's just something important to note there. And also, we're constantly revamping our coverage enhancements, our rating enhancements, our rates to keep us competitive and to make sure that we're solvent in that nature. So these things are constantly changing, which is great for us because it just points to the level of attention that we're putting on in this segment. Also, chemical drift liability increased to 250,000 as well. and damage to property of others increased to 5,000. Again, this is not all of these coverages can be increased, but this is just a coverage extension endorsement. So what new coverages do we have? So a few things to point out. We talked about vineyards and orchards earlier. Our vineyard and orchard growers endorsement has a coverage limit up to $25,000 for damaged or destroyed vines, trees, trellises, harvested vineyard or orchard crop, up to $50,000 for stock tank leakage. And so again, just an additional endorsement that we're a special coverage and endorsement that we're providing to your client that may have these types of opportunities that will continue kind of up the ante, if you will, just in terms of their available options that they have from an insurance standpoint. Stock tank leakage, we offer additional coverage for stock tank leakage greater than 50,000. So if they happen to have a leakage that comes from a stock tank, there's some coverage available for that. And also wine, fruit juice, and olive oil endorsement. So a special wine valuation and stock contamination coverage is available there as well. So in the event that the stock from that standpoint gets contaminated, in terms of with any wine, fruit juice, or olive oil, there's a special endorsement that you can put onto your client's policy just for that to make sure that they're covered. We also have some additional enhanced rating capabilities. A lot of times you will see on farm policies and on farmland that your farmers will have ATVs and even sometimes watercrafts if they have a lake on the property. So we have some automatic rating for liability for ATVs and watercrafts, which is really simple to add in our eCLIQ system. Also, if they have any incidental business activities, maybe they have some sort of small business on the side or something of that nature, there is some limited coverage for any incidental business activities that you can add onto your farm policy. That way you don't have to get a separate policy, which is pretty cool, and again, increases the ease of doing business for a farm client. Also, just let's see. Additional classes available, just to go back up to the top, for scheduled personal property. So that's also something that you'll want to pay attention to. And functional replacement cost is available as well. And here we have just some information about farm auto. As I mentioned, that we can write everything. The farm auto, the farm package would include, so the farm package would include the dwelling, any equipment, farm equipment, and any farm structures, as well, of course, the liability. And so that would all go on a package policy, but we can also add the farm auto to that as well. And farm auto coverage can also include private passenger type vehicles as well as their farm trucks. But I will note that typically if there are no farm trucks and just private passenger vehicles, it will likely be better suited for a personal auto policy as opposed to a farm auto policy. So we do require some, at least one farm auto, which we would just consider a farm truck on the policy for this account. And one thing I also want to make note of too is that you can also do the private passengers on our Safeco policy, if you also have a Safeco appointment. And that can, I believe they also offer a multi-line discount, and we can extend our excess policy under our farm policy and the Safeco auto, if that's an option as well. Anything you want to add there, Kim?
No, I think you got it all.
I thought what we would do, Danielle, we're right at the 11 o'clock hour. So this is this a good time to take a pause, and we'll take a quick 10-minute break or let everybody go, get another cup of coffee, get their water, whatever they need to do, and come back.
Yeah.
All right. And then we'll wrap up, the second half. And if you have any questions for me too, with regards to, how to enter information into the management system, we can even talk about that in today's workshop or on Thursday's workshop. But just wanted to let you know we can talk about that as well today. So let's go ahead and take a 10-minute break. It's right at 11 o'clock. Actually, it's 11:01 Central Time. We'll come back at 11:10. We'll see you all in a few minutes. All right. Thank you. All right, we got about 1 minute. In return, Kim's going to kick us off for the second half here.
Yeah, thanks, Kathy. So that was a lot of great information about farm. Oh, the presentation went away.
Oh, let me give you.
Danielle
right
has
share.
slide.
Yeah, do you want me to give you rights to share your screen?
Leave it
Back
with
to
Danielle.
Danielle.
Yeah, I don't have the slide deck. Sorry.
Oh, I'm not sure where she. I think I lost her altogether. Are you there, Danielle?
I am. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. All right, so let me see if I can. You got your screen up and running, so you're
Oh,
still
okay. Can
sharing
you see?
your
It says
screen.
showing
So we're
screen.
good.
You guys
Yep.
don't see it?
Mm-hmm. I see the sales center. That's what we should be seeing, correct?
Oh, okay,
Yep.
great. Yes.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Right, we're right at 11:10. Welcome back to the second part of today's workshop, ASNOA U workshop on farm with Liberty Mutual. It looks like Kim and Danielle, or Kim's going to be taking over this part of the segment. I'm sure working with Danielle, but go ahead and take it away. Welcome back. Thank you all for coming back. If you want to just raise your hand, let me know you're back in the room. That would be great. Just give me a raise hand. Make sure I got everybody back in. Okay, looks like the majority of you are back. Finding your hand there. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right, we'll go ahead and kick off the second half of our workshop today with Kim Adkins. Take it away, Kim.
Great. Thanks so much, Kathy. I'm sure you guys are all thinking, you know, before the break, we were talking about farm, and now we're coming back and we're talking about the sales center, and you're thinking, how does that relate to farm? So I wanted to just touch base on this quickly, because if you don't have direct access to us with an agency appointment, you can still utilize our sales center to get your referrals over to us to write. So they will also take any of the farming leads that you guys come across. And I did send Kathy an application as well as a supplemental to help you kind of gather the information that you need. And then you can refer those over to the sales center, again, only if you don't have a direct agency appointment with us. I know we're slowly appointing agents with us directly for commercial, but you do have access through the sales center. So,
and Kim, that's a choice too, correct? Is that a choice too if they wanted to utilize the sales center? Say they have opportunities, they have leads, and they just don't have the staff yet, you know, to do everything from soup to nuts, and they just want to hand it off to the sales center. They can do that as well, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. They can handle any size account over there. So if you're the type of producer that just wants to go out and get leads and be able to hand it off to somebody to quote, we can do that for you. So we have a pretty good success rate in close rate with accounts that are referred over to our sales center. And then once the policy is written, we do all the servicing on it as well. So you're not stuck at your desks, you know, issuing certificates or doing service work. So it's really a great deal. So just talking about, you know, how our sales center works. So once you get a lead, you can refer it over to our sales center. We will then reach out to the insured on your behalf, quote the piece of business, close the sale, and then you get the commission. So once you hand it over to our small business sales center, the E&O comes to us. So we are working directly with the insured, and that's another great thing about it. All of our sales reps are licensed in the states that you're licensed to do business with in. And I believe with ASNOA, we have just about every single state appointed. So you've got access to all of the Liberty Mutual products for small business in that kind of eCLIQ product set. So Danielle was talking about eCLIQ a lot. eCLIQ is just our enhanced commercial lines something. So it's our rating platform. So if it can be quoted in eCLIQ online, it can go to our sales center. And I have confirmed with them, because it's new, they used to not be able to handle farm. But I have confirmed with Aaron Coleman, our product manager over there, that they are ready and able to take those farm leads as well as any small business leads. So they do have extended business hours, so they're available from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time. So we have a couple of different offices. We've got one just outside of Spokane, Washington, and Liberty Lake, Washington. So we've got the West Coast covered, and then we have our second office in Fairfield, Ohio. So we're able to provide that East Coast coverage as well. The quotes are promptly delivered to your prospects, and then again, we follow up to close the sale. If maybe somebody calls your agency and you're talking to them and you can tell this is a minimum premium policy, you can also do a warm transfer back over to our sales center. If it doesn't fit, if it's not within our appetite, we can set that up so that they'll kick it back over to you, and so that you could have the opportunity to write that account with another one of our carriers, another one of your carriers. You know, like I said, we put all of our sales reps through best-in-class training. Our technology is awesome. We record all of our calls, and quality assurance is always measured to make sure that our sales reps are following the procedures that we've got set in place and writing quality business. Do you want to advance? So this is kind of just how the flow works. So you align, submit, quote, and issue. So you verify the market appetite. So I do have another screen up here that will show you just a snapshot of some of the classes of business that we can refer over to our sales center. Once you verify that it is within our market appetite, you can either do a warm transfer over to the sales center. You're welcome to stay on the call if you want to, but you would just identify yourself. You would give the agency code, either your direct agency code or the agency code for the sales center, which Kathy has. Or you could also email a lead over to our business line sales center, or they have an online web lead intake form, which is super easy to use. So then the sales center representative would contact the insured for a quote. That's if it was an email or through the web lead intake form. And then once they get the quote produced, they will then also follow up and close the sale with the insured. And then, as I mentioned before, we do all the servicing on that account. Can I advance the slide? So you might want to ask, how do I work with the licensed sales center? So you want to provide your agency code. So the agency codes that I have on the slide are for the ASNOA licensed sales center. So if you don't have a direct code, or you have a direct code, but you just want to send it over to the sales center and you don't have one set up for your own agency, you would use these agency codes for your referral. You could do a warm transfer, as I mentioned, and then you could also just email to the new business quote at Liberty Mutual, say, hi, I'm Brandon, this is my agency code, this is my insured's name, this is their phone number, this is what they're looking for. Maybe they called you and they want just a farm policy or just a BOP policy. Our agents are trained to upsell and cross-sell. They will also issue the policy with your specific requirements. So I don't know if we've done that with you yet, Kathy, but we can say, you know, ASNOA doesn't want any liability policies issued lower than $1 million or lower than $500,000. So they will write that business the way that you would write that business in your agency, because we don't want to put your book at jeopardy. I don't think that, if they've got insurance, that's always nice to note in there too. I've got Aaron Coleman's information up there. So he is located in our Liberty Lake office. So he's on the West Coast, but he's a great contact and resource. Of course, you've got my name and contact information, and you've got Danielle's as well. So again, there's the hours for the sales center. So we went from 5 to 5 to 8 to 8 Eastern. So closed on the weekends. You want to advance? So this is a copy of the web lead intake form. So as you can see, it's pretty limited in what you need to put in there. So you can just fill out your agency information, put your prospective customer's name, just a quick little business operation description, and then what lines of coverage they want. And when you click into this lead intake form online, over on the right-hand side, it will give you a list of preferred classes. And this was just a snip from what was available. But I just wanted to show you how little information that we actually need to be able to take these leads.
So I did have a question. Can you?
Okay.
Yeah, I added that question. Can you add this intake form on your website? Is there a link that we can add to our website that would take our customers? Maybe we have a marketing campaign out there driving, customers to our website. We can have them come right here, fill in this information, and that lead intake go directly to the service center, or is this something that we would manually need to grab and send in?
Either way. I actually just set something up similar to this with another one of my agencies here in town. So I actually now have the contact people that I need to have in order to make this work. So yeah, it is possible to do that, Kathy. Any other questions?
Thank you. Any other questions on the service center or the intake form? Feel free to chat them in, raise your hand. I'll be happy to unmute you as well. All right, well, looking good, Kim.
All right, you want to advance the slide, Danielle? Okay, so now I'm going to touch on instant incentives. So instant incentives is a incentive that we have when you use our rating platform. So if you are going to quote a piece of business in eCLIQ within your agency, we have instant incentives. Right now, we've got double spins until the end of the year. So typically you can earn between $25 and $50 a policy. But right now with double spins, you can earn up to $50, between $50 and $100 per policy. So if you write a BOP and an auto and a work comp and an umbrella, that could be 8 spins. So as you can see, that would definitely quickly add up. As soon as the policy is issued, you get a notification, you go out and spin, and the money is deposited into your PayPal account. So again, this is only for business that you enter into the system. Want to advance?
That's awesome. We all love incentives. So take advantage of those for sure.
Yeah, a little bit of mad money. I have several agents that, one guy had his kid's Fortnite account hooked up to his PayPal, so it turned out it was his Fortnite account. And I've got another gal that likes expensive purses, so this is her purse money. So it's Christmas.
That's funny.
Christmas is coming too, so remember they used to have those Christmas club accounts. I just dated us.
Cool. Yes, you did. Great.
So signing up is super easy. So I think just about everybody's probably got a PayPal account. You get your code, and then like I said, you spin, and the money gets deposited right into your PayPal. So super, super easy. Do you want to advance?
Oh, hold on. I don't.
Hold tight here. It looks like that video is playing to demonstrate how to get your spins. So another thing that we have in place with ASNOA as a group, we're doing a +5 override, business lines override. So that is paid out at the policy level. It's for all lines of business that are issued in eCLIQ. So farm, BOPS, work comp, Danielle talked about monoline inland marine. Monoline inland marine, we pay 20% commission, so that would be 25% commission until the end of the year. So definitely a great way to boost your revenue. The enrollment code, it varies by state, so do check with your territory manager if you have a direct code. And then you'd visit the Helping You Succeed website just to learn more about it. And then advance. And then something similar, similar to what Safeco has with their remarketing codes, we now have that availability in commercial lines. So say you don't want to get rid of a contract, but maybe you've got $100,000 or $200,000 of business sitting with Travelers or Hartford or another one of our competitors, and maybe they've decided they're going to take a lot of rate on that class, or they don't like that class anymore. CNA was famous for that for several years. They would pick a class of business and then totally get off of it. We are able to set up a special book transfer code to quote that business and issue it, and we have overrides that are also available. And I think I saw a question come in from Brandon.
Yes, I see. It was recommended to prospect work comp when prospecting business. Is there a good line to discuss with farms to create interest?
So unfortunately, we do not write workers' compensation for farm, so it would not work for that.
But they have, yeah, I think he's talking about in our last workshop, we did one on work comp, and that's a great door opener. So maybe, is that what you're saying? Maybe with regards to farms, what would be, right, the door opener? What would be the door opener? What would be the key conversation, the hot button, if you will, for getting a farmer's attention to listen to you, farmer to listen to you? Why would they talk to you about it? Or the agent, you know what I mean? Me being the agent.
Yeah. Farm, it's kind of an interesting segment because they're very, very loyal. And they typically, referrals go by word of mouth. So you ask yourself, how do I get in with one that I can write, and then he can tell his friends, and then maybe I can start to write more. You know, there's several designations that are farm specific. So if you decide that you want to pursue farm and agribusiness, it's the APHIS designation, AFIS. It's similar to a CIC. It's 3 parts, and then you get the designation. But it will really teach you everything that you need to know about farming. and to be able to have those conversations. I think you need to know farming, you need to know the terminology, you need to become really familiar with it to be able to speak the language, because they're going to know if you're bluffing. I'll put it that way. But retention is extremely high. It's in the 90s.
I would add too that, you know, I would always start with probably what their most valuable asset is on their farm, right? So for some that may be the land, but that may be a question that you kick off or start with, you know, what's your most valuable asset on your farm? Is it your home? Is it your equipment? Is it the land itself? Is it the crops? And so that'll point you in the direction of, you know, what policy you want to pivot to first. So if it's the land, you may want to start off with farm liability, just a monoline liability. Is this all you need? Is this what you know, here's the coverage we offer under that policy. Here are your options. If it's the dwelling, great. We can get you on a farm dwelling policy. Also include your structures, your land, so forth. We have, you know, added coverages for replacement costs, 125%, so, you know, things of that nature. You know, sell the bells and whistles. If it's their equipment, oh, great, we have something for that too. We can offer farm monoline in the marine policy. We can start off with that if you need to add coverages. But I would say for farmers or just for farm in general, like you know, I would say start off with what their most valuable asset is in regards to their farm, and go from there in terms of coverages. So good question.
Yeah.
I think we have another question. I've written a couple of policies with Liberty. I've never heard of instant incentives. Can you please send me the info for Florida agents? And that's for Jamie Reeves. So we can send that out to Kathy and have her get it out to everyone.
Yep. Yeah, you can send that out to me, and then I'll get that out to all of you. Thanks, Jamie, for that question.
Yeah, but if also if you have a pen and paper, it's instantincentives@libertymutual.com. If you want to email the mailbox, you are free. Let me see if I go back there, but here's the email down at the bottom. You can shoot them an email, say, hey, I'd like to get enrolled. You can also contact your territory manager. You can also write down this website and use that as well. So I'll pause there. If you have written policies with Liberty Mutual and you've entered them into eCLIQ yourself, now if you're using the Self Center, you wouldn't be able to unfortunately get the instant incentives program, but if you are entering them on your own and you have issued policies and you are not using instant incentives, you are leaving money on the table. So make sure you sign up today and take advantage of that. Questions?
Yep, definitely.
Okay.
So just, you know, kind of hopping back to the book transfer, the remarketing code real quick. You know, so think about your agency, think about if you've got, we kind of don't want to go lower than 50,000, but we can take a look at anything 50,000 and above. You know, talk to your territory manager, discuss the eligibility and the details of it, and then they can help you get started with setting up a remarketing code. And I think, yeah, that brings us about to the end of it. Are there any other questions?
Do we have any other questions for anybody? Todd, looks like you might have a question. I'll go ahead. I see your hand up, so I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, Todd. Hi, Todd. You have a question for us? Good. How are you?
I'm good. I was just listening. I guess my question was the businesses. I didn't get a very good look at what they were looking for. Are they talking like restaurants, I mean, what all is the appetite there, I guess?
For the sales center.
Yeah, it was back to, I think I was going to get a picture of it and I didn't get it in time.
Yeah, and
So
this
you
is
can
just
use you can use the sales center for farm or commercial, correct?
correct.
Yeah,
Yes. And so
that's
here's
all
the
guide.
a
Okay.
list.
There you
This isn't all encompassing. There are other classes on that list as well, but these are some of the classes.
Okay. Where I came from, that's all I really wrote was farms. So, and then they started working on businesses. So that's something that I want to pursue.
That's
Nice.
great.
And what state are you in?
Missouri.
Oh, okay. Nice. And what was your name again?
Todd Schubert.
Okay. Okay. Got it. That's my territory, so I'll reach out to you and we can connect more on that.
Okay. Yeah, we have a lot of farms. I farm. I loaded sheep and goats this morning before this class.
Oh, nice. I love it.
You
Love to hear it.
Yeah, so
probably could have taught us some things.
that's awesome.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I know that one of the things you ladies have too is just an abundance of resources available for marketing. And just, if you're looking to put a plan in place to, get out there and get your name out there, that's where you want to, hit these ladies up. And we'll share some of the information that Kim and Danielle shared with us to send as a follow-up with the recording of this session. But there's quite a bit of resources out there for you to utilize in the marketing area as well that they have available. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that and to take advantage of that, right? As you're setting up your marketing plan to maybe for 2021, to increase your sales for farm or what have you. And we can go ahead and, work with these ladies and get you what you need to get off the ground. So I know that's underutilized a lot of times, some of these available tools, and those could be, as to help you get in the door as well, just utilizing and getting your name out there as well. So I wanted to thank you both, Kim and Danielle. Great job. This is exactly what we wanted to just kind of share the in-depth. I knew it, we had to do a workshop because it takes a little longer to get through, than just to kind of quickly go over product information itself, but you were able to give us a deep dive, as to what type of farms, nurseries, wineries, things that maybe folks have opportunities out there that they didn't realize they had a place for. So now they do know that they have a bucket that they can go to. So we do appreciate that. If you have any questions with regard to contracting with Liberty Mutual, you would just email Joanna and she would be able to reach out to you with the sales rep or the partner of that state as well. We did record this session, so I'm going to send some of the follow-up information that Kim also, shared, and Danielle. So we'll get that out to you on the intake form. I do host commercial lines trainings on Thursdays at ASNOA.com. If you go to ASNOA University live sessions, if you need help with going over, how to get that farm put in the system, I know Jamie Lyles is on this call, and I know, Jamie, you're probably the expert as to who does what, where, when, and how with regards to downloads and with regards to how to put the right policy in. Do we put it in as a farm? Do we put it in as an ag? There is agricultural accord forms available in Epic, so I just wanted to let you all know that too. If you needed to submit those ag apps and get them submitted to underwriters outside of an online product, I wanted to make sure you were all aware of that too. So like I said, I know Jamie Lyles is probably one of our top experts in the room here. And, we would be happy to work with each and every one of you if you need help in that department as well. So thank you for all taking time out of your day to join today's workshop. We're happy to have you. Again, we'll be doing day 2 on Thursday, so I hope you're able to join us as well on day Thursday. Day 2, Thursday, with Nationwide as well, going over some of their products and their availabilities as well. And again, hopefully this opened up your eyes and doors and opportunities that you can see within your own agency. Even the coverages that you have already in place on some of the farms, you can see that Danielle went over an extensive amount of different types of endorsements and enhancements and things like that that maybe you didn't know that was available for you. So I thought it might be a good time to look at those future expiration reports, take a look at those farms that are coming up, and let's see what kind of opportunities we have to broaden those coverages for some of those farmers as well. And that would be a great conversation to have as well. And again, you as the trusted advisor, they'll be leaning on you for that. So we can, let the farmers know, let your clients know that you're the trusted advisor doing the work for them, that they don't need to go out and shop it. So anybody have any questions? We'll hang out here for a few extra moments if you would like us to. We're going to get you out here a little bit early. Ladies, we really appreciate your partnership with ASNOA and all that you bring to the table for our folks. And everybody on this call, thanks for taking time out of the day, out of your busy day, to sharpen the axe, as Ray always says. So thank you all. Have a great day. Stay safe, and look forward to seeing you all on Thursday. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good day.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you, ladies. Great job. Great job. Appreciate you guys.